Hello, and welcome to the channel. My name's Teeter, and today we're starting our unofficial first episode of Balatro, or Balatro, or Balatro, or however you pronounce it. I looked it up once, and the internet told me Balatro is the preferred way, so that's how I will refer to this game. But this is a poker roguelike, and today we're going to go through and do kind of an introductory run, just to kind of show off how the game works for those who may be unfamiliar, sort of a Balatro 101. I've sunk in a little bit of time into this game so far, so I'm somewhat familiar with its mechanics. And without any further ado, let's dive into our first run and show you what we've got going on. So firstly, you'll be asked to start by picking a deck and a difficulty. By default, you only have one deck unlocked and a base difficulty with no negative modifiers on it. And your deck will allow you to have one extra discard in every encounter that you do, which we will explain in a minute. In the first screen here, you see a lot of info. I will break it down piece by piece. So on the left, it says choose your next blind. Blind is just the term for the rounds that you do. Each set of 3 contains a small blind, a big blind, and kind of a boss blind that give you increasing amounts of money or rewards based on the increasing score thresholds you'll have to meet, which I'll explain in a little bit. On the left here, they show the breakdown of how the score is accumulated. The round score accumulates your total per hands performed or played. This multiplier here will store a chips counter and a multiplier value. We'll get into the specifics of that as we start our first round. As you play a round, you can play up to 4 sets of hands, which is any number of cards between 1 and 5 in order to make different poker hands. If you click on the run info button on the left, you can actually see what poker hands are available within the game. High card, it will just take the value of the highest card in your hand. A pair obviously will contain 2 of the same card. 2 pair is including 2 different pairs of different values. 3 of one card or 3 of a kind. A straight is 5 cards in a consecutive value ranking, so cards 1 or ace through 5, 2 through 7, things like that. Across any of the different suits or all as one suit. A flush is 5 cards that may or may not be in the same order, but are all of the same suit. Full house is when you have 3 of a kind plus a pair. 4 of a kind, of course, is all 4 cards from a base deck that match one specific rank. And finally, a straight flush combines both a straight and a flush if you have all of the ranks in order, also of the same suit. And as you can see by these base score multipliers, the more difficult it is to get a poker hand, the more valuable it is as far as the base score goes. So you can play up to 4 hands in a round in order to make those various poker hands, and you will get different score amounts based on the cards contained within the hands that you play. Of course, you're making those cards based on a set of cards that you draw from your deck, and if you don't like any of the cards that you have, you can choose up to 5 at a time to discard and draw new cards in their place, and hopefully that will help you to craft different hands and better your score. At the end of every round, you'll earn some money. With the base deck, you start with $4, but at the end of each of these blinds, you'll see it says $3 plus, $4 plus, and $5 plus. The plus comes down to interest, usually, with the base deck. So any amount that you have over $5 will earn you 1 interest. So by default, we won't earn any interest. But if we beat this first round, it will give us plus $3 up to 7. And then our next round, it will give us the $4 plus 1 extra dollar because our money count is 7, which is above 5. If it was at 10, we'd earn an extra $2. If it was at 20, we'd earn an extra $4. Because it's every $5 that you have will add interest up to a maximum of $5 at $25 held. But there are modifiers in the game that can expand that, so you can earn more than $5 of interest between any round. Finally, at the bottom, we have ante and round count. The round count will show you how many of these you've chosen to do, as opposed to ones that you've skipped, which we'll talk about in a minute. And the ante just shows your base difficulty for the different score thresholds that you'll have. If you come into, I don't remember exactly where it's held, but there's a screen that you can see what the base thresholds are for the different antes. But by default, if this number goes up, which is increased at the end of the boss round, all of the different values that you'll have to meet will also go up. So basically the difficulty of the run will increase. Once you get to ante 8 and complete the boss on that level, you'll have won your run. But of course you can enter endless mode and proceed past ante 8 into 9, 10, 11, I think up to a maximum of 16, but I've never come anywhere close to that. But yeah, so without further ado, let's consider our first round here. So we'll have to score at least 300 chips, which I'll explain as we go to do that. And if we choose this, we'll eventually earn $3 plus whatever interest we get if we complete this. Or we can choose to skip it and get this reward. In this case, it gives us a double tag, which is kind of a bad example for our first reward. But essentially, this will double whatever reward we get next. So if we were to skip this blind, it would give us this coupon tag that means that in the next shop that we experience, which comes after every round, a lot of the contents of the shop would be free. So if I were to take this double tag by skipping this blind and also skip this blind, we would get 2 coupon tags, which means for our next 2 shops that we experience, we'd get a bunch of free stuff. Now, I'm not going to elect to do that just because this is kind of an introductory run. So instead, I'm just going to dive in and choose the first blind. So by default, we pull 8 cards into our hand. Of course, we want to try and make different poker hands out of what we have in our hand. So by default, we can play a single pair. And on the left here, it will show you what hand of poker it is detecting based on what you have and what its base card values are. The way that your scoring works is the cards that you are playing that are actually contained within the scoring. So if I were to select 5 cards here, only the 2 and the 2 would be considered. The chip values for each of the cards will be added to this blue, what's starting as a 10 in this pair that we have here. They'll be added to that value on this side of the multiplicative equation. So if I were to play a pair of 2s, each of the 2s is worth 2 chips. All of the cards are basically worth their same amount in chips. The face cards are worth 10 and aces are worth 11, but an 8 is worth 8, a 3 is worth 3, etc. If we were to play this pair, the way it would calculate is it would say +2, +2, and say 14 times 2 for a combined total of 28. Now we only have 4 hands to play, and we have to hit a score threshold of 300 at the end of them, so it would not be very smart of me to submit a pair like this that's only worth 28 points. However, a couple things to point out. We do have discards that will allow us to shuffle the cards we have in our hand or trade them out with what is in our deck. Worth noting, unlike other deck building roguelikes, you do not get to shuffle your deck or put cards back into your deck. Once you discard them, you basically will not see them for the rest of this round. But when we go on to the next blind or the next round, we'll get a full deck to start with again. So in our case here, we have a couple paths forward. We have 5, 6, 8, and actually 10. So if we get a 7 and a 9, we can make a straight. If we look at our run info, a straight is worth 30 times 4 by default, plus the values of each of the cards in the straight. Or we could try to go for a flush, which is worth a little bit more by default, 35 times 4. And we already have 4 cards that we need for a flush. If you look at my clubs here, we already have 4. So I'm going to elect to do that. I'm going to go ahead and discard all the cards that are not clubs to give us a higher chance of seeing more clubs. And of course, basically everything that we drew is now clubs. We do have a new pair in here. So just for example, if we were to submit this as a pair, instead of 10 times 2, it would be 10 plus 6 plus 6 for 22 times 2 for a combined total of 44, which again, not very great when going for 300. Now you do have this sorting option at the bottom here. So right now they're sorted by rank. You can see that they're in ascending order from right to left. 2, 4, 5, 6, 6, 8, 10, and also 10, but the face cards are higher. We can elect to sort by suit as well. Sorting by suit is very good for detecting flushes, especially later you'll see modifiers that make it so that some cards are flipped over, so you can't actually see what they are. You can use the sorting as a good tool to see what exactly you might be having in your hand. And given how the cards move around and how quickly they can kind of shuffle, like maybe you're not seeing this 4 basically teleport over here, you can actually click on the cards to raise them as if you're going to play them. You can only raise up to 5. But if you click a card and then shuffle, this is a good way to keep an eye on where your cards are. Again, for if the cards end up flipped around. So by default here, we're going to play a flush. Of course, if I use the 5 cards from left to right, these are of the highest value. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You'll see the game detects a flush on the left saying 35 times 4. This is going to add 10 chips, 10 chips, 8 chips, 6 chips, and 5 chips, which for a combined total will go 35, 45, 55, 63, 69, and 74. Multiply that by 4 and get us, I'm not really good at quick math, but something like 296 points. So something pretty close. So go ahead and hit play. Our number of hands goes down. The calculation I mentioned comes right up. And of course it was 296. Lucky me doing the math right. And we didn't quite meet the threshold, so we'll have to play another hand in order to get to 300. Now, if I played a flush that had higher value cards in it, such as, I don't know, my 6 was a 7 instead, we would have gotten 4 extra points and made the threshold in one hand. One thing to note, as you play different poker hands, in this screen here where you can see them all, it will actually keep track of how many you've done on the right side. So with this flush right here, it shows that we've played 1 flush. There are certain cards and certain conditions in the game that are dependent on how often you play certain poker hands. So keeping an eye on this counter can be useful under certain circumstances. And also, I guess, will tell you what your tendencies are across a run. Now, we just need to make 4 more points. I see that we have a pair here. We could just play a high card, so long as it's over a value of... Well, actually, we could just play any high card because the high card base value is 5. So we'd earn 5 points just by playing any card. It would add the 2 chips, so we could get 7 points out of this. Or we could play a basic pair, or we could continue to use our discards, and we can maybe, just for fun, try to get another flush. And just like this, we have 5 spades. So we'll just go ahead and submit this. Doesn't really matter. We only needed 4 points, but this one was only worth 272 because of the various cards that were included. They were of lower value than our first flush. Oh, also, I forgot about this being normal. Sorry. So you'll also earn $1 for each hand you have remaining. So not only is it the 3 for this, but it's every hand you have remaining will add $1. So the fewer hands you use to meet your thresholds, the more money you'll get. And also the interest, but we didn't have enough money. You need over $5 for that. So we'll go ahead and accept our earnings. Here we have our first shop. By default, all of your shops contain the same kind of layouts. You'll have a selection of cards at the top here that are available for purchase. When you hit reroll, these will get rerolled. Of course, your rerolls cost money, so you have to keep that in mind when trying to reroll for better items. You'll have 1 voucher per ante. So this will be a passive item that you can get that will apply to the entirety of your run. This one says the Celestial packs, which I'll explain in a minute, always contain the planet card for your most played poker hand. So this is the perfect example of what I was talking about here. We'll track which hands you've played the most, and you can see what the reference or whatever it will be referencing is in here. So because we've only played flushes so far, if I had this voucher active, it means that when we open the Celestial pack, it would offer us cards that upgrade the level of our poker hands. So you can see on the left here, each of these says level 1. If you get Celestial cards or planet cards and apply them, they will up the base level of any of your poker hands and thus update the base stats of that poker hand. So if I were to take a Celestial card for the flush, I don't remember the specific stats, but it would increase it to something like 55 times 6 instead of 35 times 4. And every time you get a Celestial pack with this voucher active, it guarantees that you will see a card for your most played hand. So in our case, if I were to buy this, which I can't because I only have $9 right now, if I were to buy this, it would guarantee that every one of these packs would contain a card that upgrades the flush. Now, things to point out in this shop, this is our first example of a Joker card. There are over 100 Joker cards in this game, but you can hold up to 5 at the very top of your screen, as well as 2 consumables, which are the same as tarot cards and planet cards, which I'll explain in a moment. The Jokers act as passive boosts for each hand that you play. Some of them modify your run itself, like how much money you can get, or the certain likelihood of seeing certain things, or they can modify how the shop is impacted. Like you can get ones that offer 1 free reroll per shop. But generally speaking, the jokers will give you abilities that add to your playable poker hands, thus strengthening your run, because something like this says it will re-trigger all held in hand card abilities. Meaning if you have any cards at the bottom of your screen that have special modifiers on them, which we'll explain when we see, this can trigger them and add to your score without having to play those cards. Jokers are very strong. Jokers are pretty much how you guarantee that you can carry yourself pretty far into a run, because the modifiers found on jokers are strong and can kind of pair nicely together or synergize. This joker is not particularly useful thus far, so I'm not going to choose to get it. But this buffoon pack will allow us to choose one of up to 2 joker cards from a pair. So I'll go ahead and use this just so we can see some other jokers and see if we can't get any that are useful to us. +1 malt per tarot card used this run, currently +0. So this is something that's cumulative. The more tarot cards we use will add to this value. This will add to the value on the right side of our score sheet. So as another example, if we were to play a flush, instead of multiplying 35 times 4, if we were to get this joker and use a tarot card, this would instead be pushed to 35 times 5. Or if we were to use 4 tarot cards and add a multiplier of 4 to that, it would instead start as 35 times 8. So that's what this guy does. That's what malt modifiers do. They just either add to or multiply the value of malt on the right-hand side of your equation. And then this guy here adds 100 chips if your played hand contains a straight. Now, it's worth noting, the word contains here is very important. There are certain cards that will look to contain a single pair that will actually apply to hands that are larger that contain a pair, such as if you have a flush that has multiple copies of the same card in it, if you play a 2 of a kind, 2 pair, 3 pair, a full house, things like that. So the word contains is actually very strong when it comes to deciding how useful a modifier like this is going to be for you. Unfortunately, a straight is kind of hard to come by, so between these two, I would elect to choose this card, and we'll work on boosting its malt. So what is a tarot card? These cards here that are kind of beige or yellow in color are single-use cards that have modifiers on them. You can buy them for use in the shop, or you can find them in a card pack and use them against certain cards in your deck immediately. This tarot card, when used, will enhance 2 cards to be malt cards, which basically means that when those cards are played and scored, they will add +4 to the malt counter on the right-hand side of our score equation. Because this benefits from us using tarot cards, I'm going to elect to buy this, even though I do want to buy a planet pack instead. For the purposes of boosting this joker early, we'll go ahead and buy this. Now I don't have any money, so we'll move on to our next round. Worth noting, the voucher in the shop refreshes at the end of every ante. So if you have your eyes on something that you want to buy voucher-wise, you're going to want to get it before you beat the boss of your encounter. So this says in our next shop, the booster packs can be free. This does not affect the voucher, unfortunately, so we're not going to go ahead and do this. We'll just go ahead and dive into our next blind, which is looking for a score of 450. So right off the rip, I see 4 hearts, and I am driven yet again to discard in favor of... Oh my, in favor of looking for a flush, I was gonna say. Now, I'll show you how the tarot card works, just because it's nice to see modified cards. I'm gonna go ahead and select 2 cards, because this says up to 2 selected cards can be improved. And we'll go ahead and click Use on our tarot card. And you'll see our cards get modified with this cool looking pattern, as well as if we hover over it, it says in addition to the base 10 chips that a king would add to your score, you'll also add +4 to our malt value. So I'm going to go ahead and make another flush. You'll see that it's working because of how it changes on the side. And again, just to drill home how the calculations work, it'll look at each card and add their benefits to this base value and then calculate an amount. So 35 times 4 plus 10 is 45, 55, 63, 76 chips, so 76 on the side, and because of these 2 malt cards, it will add +4 and +4, making this value 12. So 76 times 12 plus 1 on the malt side, so 76 times 13, because this fortune teller joker saw us use that tarot card before and added to this multiplier permanently. So if we use another malt card, or another tarot card rather, it will add another value to this and add +2 to the malt in every hand. So given all that, we'll hit play and we'll watch all the magic and the math happen. And when you see the little flames pop up over your calculation as it's starting to score, that means that you've blown right past the round score in one hand. So we didn't even have to finish that calculation to get to 450, because before we even finished it, apparently we were well over. So we only used one hand. We had 3 remaining. We get $3 from that, and because of the big blind being performed, we got $4 from that. So combined total gave us $7. Of course, still not enough money to get the voucher. This is kind of the consequence of spending all your money once you get it. Generally speaking, they suggest that you save your money and you try to only spend money once you reach 25, since above 25 is when you start getting the maximum amount of interest per round. But I kind of wanted to show stuff off as we play, so I'll be buying things here and there just to kind of demo what you can see. So we get a new shop. There are new jokers and new card packs to buy, but our voucher stays the same because it only gets refreshed when beating the boss blind, which is 3rd and coming up next. This joker adds 4 chips if your played hand contains exactly 4 cards. I think that you can play something like a single pair, and as long as you have 2 supporting dead cards that aren't going to be considered but will get, pulled away and shuffled out, that will add to this. But this is something that you can cumulatively add a chip number to, so that every time you play a hand, it will add a flat value to your chips count on the left-hand side of your calculation. I don't play 4-card poker hands all that often, especially since we're gearing toward playing 5-card flushes right now. So given that, I'm going to go ahead and pass this over. Played cards with the heart suit give +3 malt when scored. So they have cards like this for every suit in the game. So you can see one of these for clubs and for spades and diamonds as well. Super basic card. I'm going to elect to skip this too in the interest of saving money. And now we have 2 different card packs that I'd like to show off here, so I'm going to burn through all my money anyway. This is the Celestial packs that give you planet cards that will upgrade one of your poker hands. And lucky me, the one that upgrades flushes is here. But if you hover over each one, they'll tell you what modifiers they will have. So for example, leveling up a full house will add 2 malt and 25 chips. If we go to our run info tab, we'll see that instead of 40 times 4, adding 2 malt and 25 chips to this would give this a base value of 65 times 6 instead of 40 times 4. And that shows you for each of the cards. Some of them give you higher amounts of malt and higher amounts of chips because of how difficult it is to get the various hands. So certain ones will also only give you +1 malt and a smaller amount of chips. But we love flushes around here, so we'll go ahead and buy Jupiter, which will add +2 malt and 15 chips to our base value of 35 times 4. So this will instead be 60 times 6. And of course, once we use this, we'll see the calculation happen on the side here. Or 50 times 6, sorry. Carried an extra 1 there. But there we go. So now whenever we play a flush, it will have a higher base value. We also see an Arcana pack. These contain tarot cards. And as we said before, any used tarot card will benefit our only joker that we have up here. And also I'd like to show off the different tarot cards that are in the game. Oh goody. So just to go over each one, this one can create 2 more tarot cards, which benefits us for our joker, because then we get to use 2 more. This card here allows you to add a wild card or change one of your cards to be a wild card. That just allows the game to ignore what base suit it has and use it in any combination of suit-based poker hands. So you can score a flush with something that was once a heart card as long as it's a wild card. You can score a flush with spades using a card that was once a heart card if it has the wild card sigil or type on it. And lastly, Judgment creates a random joker. I believe it can be of any rarity, so if you're lucky, you can get some really, really high value jokers out of this. I'd like to do this just to get us another joker, which is stronger than most other benefits and would show us something new that we haven't seen. But I'm going to elect to use the Emperor card and create more tarot cards because it will benefit our Joker up here. So 2 cards we get, the Hanged Man destroys up to 2 selected cards, and Justice turns one into a glass card, which is a card that will multiply our malt value, but has a chance to be destroyed upon use. We'll go ahead and apply these once we have the option to. We'll go ahead and dive into our next round. So we're on to our first boss blind. Each boss blind has a debuff or a negative condition that you have to contend with when doing the blind. You cannot skip these the way that you can skip the other ones and get tokens and benefits. You always have to do the boss blind in every set of 3. This one says all heart cards are debuffed, meaning they won't really be recognized as a card if used in scoring. So we'll go ahead and try to avoid using heart cards. So by default, yet again, I see that we're 4 out of 5 on a flush. If we sort by rank, is there anything special moving on here? Well, I can see that we almost have a straight as well. We have an ace, king, queen. We're missing a jack, and we have a 10. But given that we already modified suits to be worthwhile, or rather, we modified flushes to be worthwhile, I'm going to go ahead and seek out a flush. We also have another straight working, 2, 3, 4, 5, and ace, I guess. Ace, 2, 3, 4, 5. But again, I prefer flushes because they're worth more, and also we have a condition that will make them worth more. So I'm going to go ahead and discard all of these, and we got ourselves more spades. And actually we got more spades that are worth quite a bit. So we'll be adding 11, 10, 10, 10, and 5, plus the modifier to malt from our fortune teller. So I'll go ahead and play this. Aiming to hit 600, which with that boost from our Joker took us only 1 hand to do. So $5 from the boss, 3 from our hands remaining, and of course I'm still not earning interest because I'm spending all of my money. Okay, anything new here? Not really. We have a new Joker, +1 malt per hand played and -1 malt per discard. Of course, this is a card that you can front level pretty heavily as long as you never use discards, which you can do just by playing lower value hands that eventually add up to the totals that you need. So if you play high cards, which is just playing 1 card, or single pairs, or things like that, you can make it a point to kind of nickel and dime your way through each of your hands and each of your scores in favor of boosting the malt on this. We can elect to try that, but I'm not very good at it, to be honest with you. Or this card, +3 malt for each Joker card. Now we can hold up to 5 Jokers, including this one. So this will get a max bonus, at least at the base level, with no negative Jokers, which is something that we'll experience in a bit. But by default, you can only max this out at 15 malt, whereas something like this, if I played 15 individual hands with no discards, can hit that lickety-split and then exceed it. So between the two, I think this is the better Joker. We also have a new voucher since we beat the boss. This is something that will permanently add 1 extra card into our hand every time we go to play. So this is something that will allow you to find poker hands more easily because you'll have more cards to choose from every time you go to build hands. Here we see a Mega Celestial Pack. This is one that's worth or costs more to buy, but allows you to choose 2 cards out of the 5 that you see. And we have another tarot card selection, which, you know what, I am going to buy the tarot card and the Joker. So we'll buy the Joker first, not that it really matters, and then I'll buy the tarot card. This is something that gets played right away. Worth noting, the tarot card packs will not generate tarot cards that you already have in your possession. So if you don't want to see something like the Hanged Man again or Justice again, you can keep these in your collection at the top here when opening the pack, and you'll see that you don't get duplicates. So to see which ones are offering, the Emperor can create 2 more cards. We are going to buy this, but I'm going to have to use the 2 cards in the top right real quick. The Hermit will double the money that you already have to a max of $20. We only have $1 right now, so this would give us a whole nother $1, which is not very useful. And Death says select 2 cards, convert the left card into the right card. So if I wanted to get rid of diamonds for some reason, we could bring a 2 over here, select the 2 and the ace, and click this, and it would turn this 2 into this ace. For the purpose of using these 2 cards, I think I am going to destroy diamonds. So I'll go ahead and select both of these. It says destroys up to 2 selected cards, so we'll go ahead and destroy the 2 cards. This will get a benefit from us using the tarot card. This enhances one card into a glass card, which I said will multiply our mult value when used and will have a chance to break, which is not ideal. But the ×2 of your multiplier is actually very useful, so we'll go ahead and use this. And you'll see the visual representation of this looks much different because it's glass now. And we'll go ahead and use the Emperor again to create 2 more cards. So let's look at the ones we get now. The Hierophant will enhance 2 cards to be bonus cards, which will earn us extra chips. Of course, the 3 modifiers that are most common on cards are adding chips, adding multipliers, or multiplying your mult value, as we saw with the glass cards. There's also one for earning money when the card is held in your hand, one that will act as a multiplier so long as you don't play the card, and ones that modify the suit values like the wild card. And oh, here's a perfect example. This one will convert 2 cards into being mult cards, which will add +4 to their mult value, which I think we've already seen. Anyway, I don't have any more money, so we're gonna go ahead and go on to the next round. We get a new set of 3 blinds to work through. If we skip this one, our rerolls in the shop will get reset to $0, and every time we do a reroll, it will go up by $1 or 2. I'm not really interested in this. And then just to look at the next one, this will give $1 per played hand in this run. We've only apparently played 4 hands, and I'm pretty sure they've all been a flush, which is kind of funny. But yeah, so we're gonna play both of these. Given that these have really basic values, I think I'm gonna continue adding these to, well, I was gonna say to the hearts, but I don't know. Maybe we won't bother with that. But yeah, here we've got 4 spades, so we'll go ahead and discard in hopes of a 5th spade. No luck there. I do see 2 pairs here with 2 6s and 2 5s. We also have most of a straight with a 3, 4, 5, 6 pairing. We would need either a 2 or a 7 to cap that off. But I think I'm going to use another discard and go for another flush just because flushes are our strongest hand right now. We do get a flush here. Would it be beneficial to use our tarot cards on this? Because I'm chasing flushes, I'd be tempted to put all my modifiers on the heart cards just because we already have some on them. But I guess it doesn't really matter. The more cards we modify, the better. So we'll go ahead and put the bonus chips on the 9 and the ace. And then we'll put the bonus mult on these cards. Of course, using these tarot cards boosts this card right away as well, meaning that it'll actually benefit the hand that we're about to play. So without further ado, we'll play a flush. This guy is going to get 1 added to its mult, which means I probably shouldn't use discards going forward because I already forgot that we're going to try to boost that. But as you can see, we're already annihilating the score without even calculating all of their mult bonuses. So very good to modify the cards in your deck to have bonuses as well as having jokers that support what you're doing. New jokers in the fray, plus 80 chips if played hand contains a flush. Of course, I'm only playing flushes, so this could be very useful. And this card that allows straights to be made with gaps of 1 rank. The example is really kind of ugly, but any gap between 2 numbers in your straight, as long as it's only 1 rank value, can be valid. So this one says you can have a rank that goes from 3 to 5, skipping 4, 5, 6, which is a normal, rank increase, 6 to 8, which skips 7, and 8 to 10, which skips 9. So even though a normal straight would look like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you can actually go 3, 5, 6, 8, 10 because each skipped rank is only of 1 value. So this allows you to pretty much make straights out of basically anything, but we're focusing on flushes right now, and this card just so happens to accommodate that. Now, again, we have no money, and this is going to put me under 5, so we're never going to see interest at play, but I suppose that's okay. Anything that supports our current ventures is just fine. Okay, so I think I want to try and add more hands in order to benefit this card without really discarding anything, which is going to be a little bit difficult, I think, but we'll try it anyway. So by default, I'm going to play 2 pair. It's kind of a measly hand compared to some other ones that we've had. But the more hands that I play, even though we'll be sacrificing the money that the hands are worth, will add to the multiplier for this green joker up here, which I think is a good thing. So go ahead and play a 2 pair. We'll see how much of a score increase we get. 660, so it's actually already half of what we need for our current round score. I think I'm gonna like to play a couple single high card hands just to get the hands played and boost this guy. And then on our last hand, we've got 2 pair we can play here if we need to. I think we do need to. And actually I have another pair of queens here, which are worth more than 6s. So I'll put those down. We'll play a queen, queen, 9, pair, which will be worth more than if we were to play 2 6s instead. So there we go. Even playing not flushes, we exceeded our current goal. And of course, this guy now has a +5 to its mult value because we've only been playing hands and not discarding anything. New Joker. Played face cards have a 1 in 2 chance to give $2 when played or when scored. As much as I'd love to get more money, I'm okay with skipping that for now. We do have another tarot card we can get, so we'll go ahead and buy Death. This is the one that will convert a card from the left into a card on the right. And of course, we can afford, just barely, another tarot card pack. We see the Emperor for a 3rd time in a row. I don't know why that is, but I'm not complaining. The Moon card converts 3 cards into clubs, or up to 3 cards. There is 1 card for each of the 4 suits, so if you're trying to convert your deck into being primarily of 1 or 2 suits, you can keep your eye out for cards like this. And of course, we have the Hermit that will double our money. We have $0, so we'll double it into $0. Now earlier, I think if we look at our full deck count, we'll see that we only have 11 diamonds because I had deleted or destroyed 2 using that other card just to use the card. So if we're going to modify any cards here, I'm going to elect to modify the diamonds to get rid of them. Pardon me. Now we also have this queen that has this boosted effect on it. So I think I'm going to take the 3 of diamonds and turn it into another copy of this Queen of Hearts using my Death card in order to use the Emperor and fill our card slots up top. So this will convert the 3 of diamonds into that fancy queen, like so. Adding to this guy's multiplier because we're using more tarot cards. And I'm going to get 2 more by using this Emperor card. The Chariot enhances 1 card into a steel card. This is one of the cards that will multiply your mult value so long as the steel card remains in your hand and is not being played. It will not have the effect when you're playing the steel card, which is not very useful as it turns out. And of course we have Judgment, including the first E. Creates a random Joker card. We'll go ahead and use this right away. And we get the Marble Joker, which adds 1 stone card to the deck when you select a blind. Stone cards are just kind of placeholder cards. I haven't seen much of a use for them other than the fact that they come with 50 chips, which is a lot of chips compared to, say, the 5 you get from playing a 5 or the 8 you get from playing an 8 or even the 11 you get from playing an ace. 50 is quite a few, but you can't use them when building hands, so you'd have to use a stone card alongside something like 2 pair as your 5th card, or just use stone cards. You know, you can't use a stone card in a flush, you can't use a stone card to sit in place of something for a straight. It's just kind of, I'd like 50 chips added to my score, please. So they're kind of difficult to use. Guess I'll keep it just because we have this Joker that bases around playing hands, and maybe some of the hands I'll play will be smaller and we can just toss the stone cards in with it. But I usually try to avoid Marble Joker because I don't personally understand how to use it very effectively. So the modifier for this boss says all diamond cards are debuffed. This is like the other one we had, but for diamond cards, which is unfortunate because our diamond suit is... Actually, our diamond suit is the one that we've been kind of nerfing, so it's not really that big a deal. So sorting by suit here, we don't see anything. We do see 3 spades that are on their way to being flush, but if we sort by rank, 8, 7, 6, 5 is most of a straight, but we need 5 cards for that. We do have a pair here, which isn't the best hand to play, but will allow us to get credit for something more than a high card. We could play other cards alongside this pair that will be ignored. So if we want to effectively discard stuff, we can do so by playing a hand like this and not having to worry about the consequence of actually discarding. I'll go ahead and play this pair, and only this 8 will be considered, plus all of our modifiers. So it's not going to score very high, but that should be okay. Ooh. Interesting. Well, we have 4 heart cards now, and only 3 spades cards. We also have 2 pair in the hopper, which can be pretty good, although I don't really want to use this 6 of hearts if I can avoid it. So we'll go ahead and play this pair of 2s, and we'll play these other 2 spades cards in hopes of getting a 5th heart to show up. Of course, every hand we play adds to the malt on our green joker, which is kind of the reason I'm doing so many throwaway hands. Surprisingly enough, we don't get another straight out of this. Or another flush, rather. Now, we can just play a high card here with all these other kind of throwaway cards. The problem is going to be if I play this and we don't get a heart card, I'm going to have to start using our discards, which is fine. It will just decrement the value of malt on our green joker, because every time you do a discard, that value goes down. So it's currently at 7, plus 7. If I do a discard, it will go down to plus 6, which isn't a huge deal, but ideally we would avoid it. So I'm just going to play a high card. It's going to detect this spades. It'll add 11 and then 30 to this, and then we'll get some modifiers to our malt. So maybe it will still score kind of decently, but not as decent as a flush would. Although it's hard to ignore the severity of a 800 score hand. Regardless, we do get the flush now, and this is going to be our last hand played, so we avoided having to use any discards, which is very good. So I'll go ahead and play this flush, and we'll smash our score right out of the water. There we go. So we're already 42 minutes into this video. I'm so sorry that it's so long, but we'll go ahead and try to speed things along as we go here. I'm still going to try my best to explain things, but not at such a lengthy pace. So to go over our joker selection here, this one is new. A joker will gain a times 0.25 malt for each card sold. To pause here, you can only sell your jokers at the top in your consumables. So this will get a higher malt multiplier every time you sell a card, but it resets whenever you beat a boss. So it really only lasts you for 3 rounds. I don't see a lot of use in this personally, but it's here if you can find a way to make it useful. And of course, we have the spade variant of the jokers that add to your malt value. New voucher says we can reroll the boss blind 1 time per ante, but it costs you $10. Also, the voucher costs you $10, so I don't have enough money for this. But there are certain boss blinds that are so difficult that they can kill a run, just if you're not well equipped for it, or if you built your deck in a certain way that, leans a certain way that this conflicts with. So having this voucher to reroll it can be a run saver, but we don't have any money. Of course, we can get more tarot cards or a celestial pack, and in the interest of boosting this joker, I'm going to get yet another tarot card pack. Darn, we don't get the Emperor for the first time, but that's okay. We could play the Fool, which will give us another card based on whatever card we played last. The last card we played was the Judgment card, which created our Stone Joker. The Wheel of Fortune has a chance to add foil, holographic, or polychrome modifiers to a joker. You can see on the left, these kind of have the same modifiers that some of our boosted cards do, or enhanced cards do. So your joker can consistently add 50 chips, or consistently add an additional 10 malt, or can additionally multiply your current malt value by 1.5 times its current value. Or, in layman's terms, add half of the current malt value to itself. And lastly, the Empress, which can enhance cards to malt cards. We've already seen this. Of the 3, I think I'm going to elect to use the Fool card, because not only would I like another joker, but we can use this and the card it creates to boost our Fortune Teller's malt value. So I'll go ahead and create a new joker. And we get Ice Cream, which adds 100 chips to each hand, but every time we play a hand, it reduces the count of chips it adds by 5, meaning that this will actually completely melt away in 20 hands played. And that's all I can afford, so let's move right along. New skips here. If we skip this, the next shop we have will get a free uncommon joker. We currently have all of our joker spots filled, but we can sell one in place of a new joker. We'll see what that has to offer. Actually, we're not going to skip this, so we're not going to see what that has to offer. The next one will give us a Mega Celestial Pack, which we've already seen in the shop, which allows you to pick 2 planet cards out of a set of 5. I don't think we'll skip, we'll just go ahead and play. Because we selected a blind, we get another stone card added to our deck by this joker. And right off the rip, I see a full house. Look at that. This is only worth 40 times 4, but we got some multipliers in here and all of our joker effects. So this should score pretty handily. And just to show how the steel cards work, I'm going to go ahead and convert this 3 of spades into a steel card. We'll see that it turns metallic. But this says it will multiply our mult value by 1.5 so long as this isn't played or discarded. So we'll go ahead and just play this full house. This might just win the hand in one play just because of all the multipliers and stuff we have. Oh, it sure does. So we're not gonna be able to burn through more hands and boost our green joker, but that's okay. I probably could have elected to take note of that and, you know, played some single high cards, but that's okay. 2 new jokers, each played 10 or 4 gives 10 chips and 4 malt when scored. It's not one or the other. Playing a 10 doesn't give you 10 chips, and playing a 4 doesn't give you 4 malt. Playing either a 10 or a 4 gives you both 10 chips and 4 malt. Pretty useful if you have a deck that contains a lot of 10s and 4s. Of course, the base deck only contains 4 of each for a total of 8 cards out of 52. So, depending on how many cards you draw and how you can use them in your hands, this could be useful, but for our purposes, not really. And this card will give you a random multiplier seemingly between 0 and I think 28, but it really just chooses the number at the time of scoring. I don't know if it's dependent on how the number kind of cycles around here, but if you sit here and stare at it enough, the highest I've seen so far is 23 right now. So maybe it only goes up to 23, but I thought it went up to 28. Regardless, a random malt value, which is, you know, not the most reliable. Down here, we get another buffoon pack to choose a joker from, or a planet pack that we can use to choose planet cards. Suppose I'll do this because we haven't upgraded any hand type but a flush thus far. We can upgrade full house, 3 of a kind, or high card. Honestly, because we have green joker, I'm gonna elect to do high card here. Definitely not the best one to increase. I think I would choose to increase full house because it's stronger and we already saw one, but no matter. We'll play some high cards to boost our green joker. All right, what do we have here? I see 2 7s and 2 kings. I only see 5, 7, and 8 when it comes to a straight. Also, ace, king, queen would also count toward a straight. We have 3 hearts and 3 clubs if we were seeking out a flush. But for our first hand, I kind of want to see just what one high card would do. So to do that, I'm just going to play everything that isn't a heart, because I don't think... Oh, we'll get a pair if I play both 7s. Do I want to do that? Funny enough, the high card is actually... The base amount of a high card is worth more than the pair. Because of our upgrade. I guess I'll elect to play these 4 cards to effectively discard them. We'll keep the 7 just so we can see how good a single high card is. Oh, and a high card can win the hand. Thanks to our ice cream and all of our multipliers. That's crazy. I will say that wasn't exactly what I was expecting, but hey, look, we have $10, so I can actually buy the voucher now. The voucher just acts as a passive boost, so, you know, we won't really see its effect until we use it, but good to have. We have a planet card showing up for the first time here, so you can actually get them in the shop selection, not just from the packs. This will level up 4 of a kind. I don't think we've played a 4 of a kind yet. Nope. That doesn't mean that we won't get the option. And this joker, which we don't have room for, will allow 1 free reroll per shop, which would change what these 2 cards are for free. I'm gonna go ahead and buy the voucher. This will allow us to reroll the boss blind should it be run killing. but we'll need $10 to do it. And we're out of money, so we'll move right along. Here we go. The water. Start with 0 discards. So if we were relying on discards to modify our hands that we're playing, this would stop that, and that would be kind of awful to contend with if we were searching for specific hands. Of course, we could reroll with this symbol in the top left here, but we don't have $10. But that's because we just bought the voucher that allows us to do that. Let's dive in, pun intended, because it's called the water, and let's hope that we can make something of this. So off the rip, I see 4/5 of a straight. Jack 10, 9, 8. We would need a 7 or a queen to make it 5 in a row. Suit wise, I think we only have 2 or 3 of each. We do have 3 between the clubs here. So I think we'll go ahead and try to play a high card with this king. It's the highest value card of the set of 5. And we'll hope that in the hands to follow, we'll get more clubs with which to play a flush. And that hand alone was worth 3.5k, so we don't even need to worry about that. We can just play, actually just for fun, we'll play the stone card by itself. It'll be considered a high card. And it will add a bunch to our chip values and stuff, and that hand alone was worth more than 4k. So, easy peasy. I'm unlocking jokers and stuff like crazy. I don't know what conditions I'm meeting for each of those, but at the end of the run, it should tell me. New jokers up here. Played face cards give +5 malt when scored, or played cards with odd rank give 31 chips when scored. This is a pretty good source of chips if you need it. Our ice cream is going to melt soon eventually in the next 16 hands I play, so we'll rely on it for a little bit longer, but Odd Todd could be a good replacement once this gets knocked down. Of course, once we see this, it's not really a guarantee that we'll see it again, but I think we'll be okay without it. Maybe we'll get a different joker to fill the shoes up here. We only have $7, but I am not interested in either of these packs because I'm okay with the money that we're making, and maybe I should start saving my money so we can see what interest looks like. So now we have over $7. If we play our next round, we should earn $1 of interest. So, top-up tag allows you to create 2 common level jokers, but you have to have room for them. We're at 5 out of 5, so this wouldn't benefit us. And the boss tag allows you to reroll the boss blind for free. This doesn't cost $10 like our voucher effect does. This can be a lifesaver if the voucher or the debuff that you see over here is awful. But in our case, debuffing club cards, not really a huge deal. Regardless, we got to play through 3 blinds or 2 blinds before we get to that one, so we'll go ahead and dive into this $5,000 blind. Here we have 3 clubs, 2 spades, and a heart, and 2 stone cards. Now, I don't think you could play something like a pair. See how it just says high card level 2? We can't play a pair of stone cards and get any benefit from it, unfortunately. And I'll be honest, I don't know what you get when you combine a stone card with something like a 7 and a 4. I don't know if it would take the stone card over the 7. I think the answer is it wouldn't. I think it would take the 7 instead. But I guess we could test it and see what we get. I'll also play the 6 to get rid of it, and that will leave us with our clubs in hand. Well, look at that, it took both. So I guess there is more value to the stone cards than I may have realized. New shop. 1 free reroll per shop with this joker, or this joker gains times 0.2 malt per consecutive hand played without playing your most played hand. That says the word played 3 times. But essentially, anytime we don't play a flush, this will add to its malt value. So by default, it's times 1 malt. If we play a high card, it will make it 1.2. If we play 2 pair to follow, it'll make it 1.4, etc., etc. The problem you run into is that each hand you play will, and actually high card is my most played hand now, that's funny. But each hand you play will add to your number. So if I play a flush next, for the first time, it is not my most played hand. But the next time I play a flush, it would set that back to times 1, which is basically no benefit. Now, there's only so many hands to find and play, so I feel like it would be kind of easy to trip over yourself, because if I got all these up to 7 times played, the next one I play would have to be, you know, my highest one. Regardless, we have $14 now. I did not point out that we earned interest, but I'm pretty sure we did. We could buy more planet packs. You'll note that the packs, even though they're kind of similar, and they're similarly priced and have similar effects, you can see that some of them have different cover art and are considered different. So you see that even though we've played this Celestial pack before, it's saying that this one is not discovered. We'll go ahead and use this to help fill out our collection. And again, we have the high card boost, boosting straights, or boosting a straight flush, which we'll probably never see. I'm gonna go ahead and boost the high card, even though I'd like to discover these for my file. This is a second file of mine. I started just for this tutorial kind of run. In my next videos, I'll be playing on my main file where I have almost everything discovered. Sort of a few cards I have to meet certain conditions to get. But anyway, we've boosted our high card yet again. If we look at our run info, high card is now worth 25 times 3, which is actually somewhat equivalent to a 3 of a kind and beats out the value of 2 pair. Worth noting, I suppose. Let's continue. So we don't care to re-roll the boss blind, so we'll go ahead and play this blind. Again, we have 3/5 of a flush here. I don't think we have anything really close to a straight. Oh, we have 2, 3, 4, gap 6. That's pretty good for a straight, I suppose. But I'm more privy to seeking out a flush. So like before, we can just play a high card with the 9, and it will get the boost from one of the stone cards, plus the boost from all of our jokers. We'll just go ahead and play a high card. See how close we get to our goal here. 4.9k. Pretty brutal. We can do the same thing with these, which will take us right over the edge. I'm not sure if I could just play... Let's say we just play a 2. This is our lowest scoring card with no extra benefits. Let's see what we get out of just playing a 2. I think it's still going to take us over the 7.5. It sure did. Yeah, the ice cream is still serving us really well. We are kind of burning through it because I'm playing hands I don't need to. We could be beating all of these blinds just in one hand, but that's okay. Let's check on our other jokers. This is constantly adding 80 chips. This doesn't get modified, but it will always add 80 chips if we play a flush, which I used to lean into. We've been avoiding because we want to boost this joker, who's up to 16, positive 16. And this guy's up to positive 13 because we've used 13 tarot cards. So these guys are getting added to lickety split, and then these 2 cards add to our chip count. Generally speaking, it's better to have a relatively even chip and multiplier count because, say, if you had 50 times 5, it's worse than having 50 times 50. Or rather, having 50 times 5 is worse than having something like 25 times 25. Or even 10 times 10. So having a relatively even amount of these is better than having it be lopsided because basically just because of how multiplication works. But anyway, to look at our score that we got here, we got $4 from the blind itself, $1 each for each of our 2 remaining hands for $2, and because we're at $10, each $5 threshold adds us to another point of it, or adds another point of interest. So because we're at 10, we get $2 of interest to follow. New shop, 1 in 2 chance to create a tarot card when opening any booster pack. That includes the planet packs and the standard card packs, which we haven't opened yet. I'm not gonna worry about this because I kind of like our current assortment of jokers, although we are gonna have to replace the ice cream joker pretty soon because it's melting. And there's a planet card to level up the pair. Don't really care about this, but we'll go ahead and buy it just so I can discover it, and also if I ever see the need to play a single pair, that will make it a little bit worthwhile. New voucher will lower our ante and our hand count, so we'd end up only being able to play 3 hands, but it makes the difficulty lower. Doesn't mean that your run ending difficulty will be lower though, it just means you have to play more. So something to consider when choosing this, I suppose. Jumbo Arcana pack allows us to choose 1 of 5 different tarot cards. I'm not going to elect to do this, even though it would benefit our 1 joker, because I don't really feel like spending $6. I barely have. And of course, choose 1 of up to 5 playing cards to add to your deck. These are usually just modified versions of the normal ace through king playing cards. So we'll just skip the rest of the shop and move right along and beat this boss that says all of our club cards are debuffed. Unlocked yet another joker. I don't know why, I'll be honest with you. could have something to do with the fact that we have what I think is 16 modified cards. Does this say? I don't think this says that. But between all of our stones and glass cards and stuff, we have 15 or 16 modified cards. So maybe that was a threshold that we met for that Joker unlock. Not sure. Anyway, moving right along, we have a new hand. We have 3 hearts, 2 diamonds, 1 club, 1 spade, and a stone card. We have to hit 10k. If I sort by rank, we have a pair of jacks I see right away. I will add the heart card. Actually, we'll go ahead and play everything that isn't a heart, and then maybe we'll get a chance to play a heart flush to follow. This will play the pair on the jacks. It will ignore the heart card and the debuff card, and will also play the stone card as we saw before. So that right there, for being a garbage hand, was still half of our current ante. Now here we have an interesting set of cards. I could use these as a discard again. However, it's going to play a high card on this ace, which is debuffed, which will add nothing to our base score. I'm a bit curious how much of a score we'd get by doing that, just because of all the modifiers across all of our jokers. So I am going to go ahead and play that. I think it's going to be pretty measly, though. Still almost 3,000. Could have been a lot worse. We'll go ahead and play the flush now that we're pulling it. I was curious how much of a score increase the high card to flush is, and it's still pretty substantial. Without further ado, we will do this. And that alone was almost the 10k we needed, so we are moving right along. Alright, new shop. This Joker gains +3 chips per discarded spade card. The suit changes every round. So this is another cumulative chips card. This is good to get earlier and then just intentionally do something like discard more chips or discard more spades or whatever suit this is reflecting for the round. Of course, this will conflict with our green Joker that loses mult score every time you discard, so we will not choose this. And this says create a tarot card if your poker hand contains an ace and a straight, which is difficult to do, to be honest, unless you have a deck that kind of surrounds building straights around aces. Worth noting, the ace counts both as an 11 and a 1, so you can make a straight that's like ace, king, queen, jack, 10, or you can make it a straight that is ace, 2, 3, 4, 5. So bearing that in mind, I guess it's not extremely difficult to use this, but more so than I like to rely on. This voucher does nothing, question mark. I'll tell you, if you buy this enough times, you unlock like an elevated version of this that is very beneficial. So when you see this, it is actually worth buying. I guess I'll do it because I have $24, but this is the highest amount of money we've had thus far. But I'm still going to buy this for 10. It literally does nothing on its own, but it does serve as a point of like a count progression. And we have another tarot card pack, which I'm going to elect to open because we'll still have $10 for interest. Sun card, convert cards to hearts. The Chariot enhances cards into a steel card. Or Temperance gives the total sell value of all current jokers. So this will actually give me $12, which will kind of recoup the cost of the pack and or the voucher. We could do the jumbo standard pack, but I think I'm okay without. So skipping this blind will give $23. That's a lot of dollars. Skipping the next blind would give 2 playing cards from 1 pack. Oh, and look at this. This boss says you can only play 1 hand type this round. Uh-oh. I mean, maybe not uh-oh if we could play flushes, but our tactic of playing single hands just to kind of advance our deck and, you know, avoid using discards is going to be thwarted by this, unless I play the whole round just by playing high cards, which I don't think will be feasible for much longer. Do I want to skip this and get $23? I think not, because both the Marble Joker and Green Joker benefit from us playing more blinds, so we'll go ahead and dive in without a second thought. I see 2 kings right away, and that is kind of the bulk of it. We do have 3 kings, or 3 diamonds here, so I could play a high card with the king and the stone card and see what we get. Holding out for a flush again. Okay, I'll do the same thing here. We will keep the steel card in our hand, though, because this is going to boost our main score. And I'll play the stone card as well, because that won't be used in a flush. And we're already super close to meeting our threshold. So I'll just play this pair of 9s. Again, in hopes of getting a flush that I don't think we're going to need. Very good. So we're moving right along. Plus 12 melt if played hand contains a 3 of a kind. So again, this can include just playing a 3 of a kind, playing a full house, or playing a flush that has multiples of the card suits or card values in it. So if you had 3 of clubs, then this would apply. And then this joker just adds 1 to your hand size, not unlike that one voucher we saw earlier. Kind of a lackluster joker compared to other ones you can get, because this takes up one of your precious joker slots just to give you an extra card in each one of your hands, but it can help you make certain card layouts a little bit easier. I will buy another tarot card pack just to keep boosting this joker up here. The Hierophant adds chips to cards, the Hanged Man will let us delete cards, and the High Priestess will create 2 planet cards, which will boost our different hand levels. So I'm going to go ahead and use the High Priestess, and we get boosts for hands that we haven't boosted yet, which is okay. We'll level up the Straight Flush. This does not count as a tarot card and will not benefit our Fortune Teller, unfortunately, but that's okay. It will benefit us if we have to desperately make a straight, I guess. Let's proceed. Skipping this will give us 2 maybe enhanced standard cards. We'll go ahead and not skip it. We'll play it. Oh wait, what a selection of goodies. Now one thing I like to check is my full deck stats. We have the most hearts in the deck, so it would be theoretically most likely to pull more hearts than the other hands. So between hearts and clubs here, I'm going to elect to try to get a flush on hearts, but we'll play just kind of a garbage hand. It will take the high card of Jack of Diamonds plus the 2 stone cards and net us a pretty chunky score. We now have 3 hearts, so I'll do the same thing. Just do another high card on 9. It should give us the exact same score. Actually, it won't because this chip value went down by 5. But it's still pretty close. And we do not get our flush, but that's okay. I guess I'll just select to do a basic pair, because I don't see a way to make another pair. And there we go. We got over 16.5 in 3 hands. So now we're going to gain 5 interest, which is the max. Because we have $25, we get 1 interest per $5. Math says 25. So keeping your money above 25 benefits you in that way. You can earn more money the more money you have. If playing a flush, plus 10 malt. This can be strong if we could consistently play flushes. Of course, right now we can't consistently play flushes because we're kind of making our deck thick with all of these different stone cards. And then this says plus 30 chips for each remaining discard. So this is a pretty consistent source of 120 chips because we're not really using our discards. Granted, your discard count can be reduced to 0, as we saw with that one blind effect from that one boss, but that effect can only happen once per run, I think, so we're kind of in the clear from that. This poor ice cream is melting on us and is only worth 20 chips, so I'm going to elect to sell this in favor of buying this joker as a source of chips. And again, this is 30 chips for each remaining discard. By default, this will give us 120 chips, but if we need to use discards for any reason, this will be reduced as well as affecting this green joker's malt value. Now, I do want to get this because this is working off of the flushes that we've been so desperately clinging to, but I don't really want to get rid of any of my other cards, and also this is just a flat plus 10 malt, whereas these are adding 15 and 25 respectively. So I'm gonna go ahead and skip that. And I'm gonna save my money. Not that I don't like adding cards to my deck, but we've been doing okay without. Now the fun begins. Play only one hand type this round. I'll be honest, I want to play a flush because, well, I see 4 heart cards. But in order to do that, we're going to have to actually do a discard, which I'm sad to say. Hopefully we get a heart on our next hand because I don't want to reduce this green joker's malt value or the value of our banner too much. So we'll cross our fingers. And what do you know? We did not get another heart card, so we'll have to use yet another discard. And there we go, we have it. Hopefully I can win this in one hand with our flush benefits and our new banner and stuff. So the banner will give us plus 60 chips. This will give us plus 80 for a combined total of 140. And this malt value went down by 2, boo, but it will go back up as we play our hand. Let's give it a shot and see what happens. Oh boy. So we didn't get anywhere close to our threshold. Uh-oh, this is gonna end very poorly. Hand will not score. We need to make a flush, and we can't make a flush with anything that we currently have. We'd have to hope to get 3 more clubs. Oh, we do get 3 more clubs. Will this be enough? I don't think so, because our chip count is going down pretty dramatically. We still need 2 grand. There's only 2 more clubs in the whole deck. All right, we have to hope that we can discard into some spades. Oh boy. So we have to play a throwaway hand then. Oh, thank goodness. I think this will clinch it. Oof. Definitely not clean. And our green joker was kind of a victim there, but we made it through. All right, so new shop with some new goodies in it. Down here we have a new voucher. Raise the cap of interest earned to in each round to $10. So now up to a max of 50 will get you up to $10 per round. So I'll go ahead and get that because it's very useful. Anything over 25 will benefit us further. New Joker, ×3 malt if played poker hand has already been played in the current round, and it's a foil card, so by default it will always add 50 chips. This is very strong, especially if you're the type like me to only play the same poker hands over and over again, like high cards and flushes. So I think I'm going to buy this. Over what, though, is the real question. I hate to say it, but I think we're going to get rid of Crafty Joker. Because even though this is a pretty consistent source of chips, it only applies to flushes, whereas this is going to give us 50 chips always, and also has the benefit of multiplying our malt value, so long as we've played the same hand twice. So sayonara, Crafty Joker. Hello, Card Sharp. I didn't know its name offhand. $27 we're going to stick with. As much as I want to buy fancy new stuff, we're going to proceed. After defeating the boss blind, gain $25. This is pretty significant, to be honest with you. If we skip this next blind, it'll upgrade straight flush by 3 levels. Awful hand to increase, but if we had something like a normal flush or I guess the high card, I would consider skipping this. I think we'll just play question mark. I do kind of want $25, but no, we'll just play. Hello, we get a flush right away. Makes me wish that we still had that other card, but that's okay. So our new card isn't really going to benefit us malt-wise. It will give us the plus 50 chips right away. But it's not actually going to benefit us when it comes to replayed hands. I really wish this counted as a flush, but that's okay. We're gonna get all kinds of chips from these stone cards. That was worth quite a bit anyway. So I think we're getting to a point where if we play stone cards, that we can just kind of ride the wave of those. I'll go ahead and buy this new planet card just to keep upgrading our hands that we might get stuck playing. New Joker, plus 8 mult if played hand contains a pair. Again, this is beneficial for if you have flushes that contain duplicates of cards, or this is good for pairs, 2 pairs, full house, 3 of a kind, things of that nature. So this is a very strong card, but plus 8 mult is not really anything to write home about when you can get other cards like these that add, you know, even more. And I don't want either of these card packs because we don't need another Joker, and I haven't really been adding playing cards to my hand or my deck, so we're just gonna avoid that, even though it could be useful to do because those cards can have the different modifiers that we've put on our other cards using tarot cards. You could just unlock a card that is a foil version of a bonus card or something like that, you know. But we will persevere without, and we'll go ahead and play the next blind. All right, we have a pair here. We have 3/5 of a straight here, and we have a bunch of stone cards. I'm gonna elect to just play, I think I'm just gonna do a high card with some stone cards. And then we might play yet another high card and see this guy in action. So you'll notice right now, our chip to malt value is kind of skewed. I'd much rather be having them a little bit more even, just to see if, you know, the number that we get as a result is much higher. I'm just gonna try to play the ace by itself. Actually, now we're set on chips. We're gonna play the 4 of spades by itself because it adds to the malt, and we'll see if the high card with our card sharp bonus adds a lot to our malt. I don't think it will though. Oh, there we go. Not too bad. 199 times 150. That's somewhat close, all things considered. Stencil Joker, times 1 malt for each empty Joker slot, including the stencil. So we are currently holding 5 Jokers. If I were to get rid of everything and just have this, it would add a times 5 malt to our multiplier. Of course, the bonuses we get from all of our existing Jokers are too strong to desire something like this, but this could be good around runs that would benefit from high malt values and fewer Jokers. And of course, we see Odd Todd again. Played cards with odd rank give plus 31 chips when scored. Will this ever be better than the banner? Not unless I'm playing cards or playing hands that consistently have 5 odd cards. So ace, 3, 5, 7, and 9. So honestly, not better than our banner, at least right now, because we're kind of avoiding discards because of our green Joker. New card types, or card packs down here. Mega cards that allow you to pick 2 from the set. Choose 2 of up to 4 spectral cards to be used immediately. Spectral cards are very risky. Some can be very good and modify your cards and your deck pretty heavily. And also your Jokers pretty heavily, but very risky. We're gonna skip these for now. And we've yet another Arcana pack, which I haven't really used a tarot card in a while, it feels like. So I'm gonna do this in order to do that. Okay, convert cards into clubs. We have a card that converts into diamonds. We have a card that converts into hearts. Not really worried about all of that right now. Enhances 2 selected cards to be bonus cards that add extra chips. We already are doing okay with chips. And creates up to 2 random tarot cards that we have to have room for. I'm gonna elect to use this. We get the Hermit that doubles our money, which we can use right away because it's a max of 20 and we already have over 20. So it just adds $20. Justice will turn something into a glass card. I already turned a diamond into a glass card, so I'll elect to turn another diamond into a glass card right away. And then of the 3 at the bottom, I honestly don't care all that much. I guess we'll turn the non-diamond cards into bonus cards. Very good. So we got some modified cards out of all that and also boosted our Fortune Teller Joker. The Serpent, after play or discard, always draw 3 cards. So if you discard 1 card, you discard 5 cards, you play 1 or 3 or 5, however many cards, you always draw 3 cards in return. So if you're doing something like me and you're playing flushes a lot, you will kind of burn through the hand that you draw pretty quickly. So for our benefit, I think I'd prefer to play pairs and high cards if possible, even though they rack up a pretty measly score compared to flushes. We don't have any cards that specifically rely on flushes anymore, so we can maybe get away with just playing high cards or pairs. Let's dive in and see what we get. So I do have a pair of 9s if we wanted to try playing pairs, or we could just try to go with the high card route. I think we'll play a pair and we'll add the stone card in. That way we can just kind of get more cards out of our hand, but it doesn't really matter because we're only going to draw 3 cards in return. Also worth noting, if I play less than 3 cards, our total hand count will go up because we're still going to draw 3 cards. So I guess I'll demonstrate that just by playing 2 9s. So pretty lopsided score count on the side there, unsurprisingly. But that's because we're not using the card sharp just yet. We do have another pair we can play, which will benefit our malt count because it will multiply by 3, or be multiplied by 3. We'll play a pair, and we can also add stone cards to add to our chip count on the left. And we can already see that because we only played 2 cards before, we drew 3 and now have 9 out of 8 cards in our hand, which is kind of silly. We'll play another pair though, that'll activate our card sharp, as we'll see when it says X3 underneath. And that blew our score right out of the water. So playing the same hand twice in a row, even if it's a measly little pair with some stone cards, is doing us some good. New Jokers adds a number of times a poker hand has been played to this run to the malt. So if we look at our run info, if we play a full house, it will only add 1 to the malt. If we play a flush, it will add 11. If we play a high card, it will add 18. If we play a pair, it will add 7. And of course, we have cards that are consistently adding 30 and 19 malt respectively. So this card is not better, at least for our run right now. And then this Joker says it gains 0.25 malt every time you add a playing card to your deck. We haven't added a single playing card to our deck unless this counts stone cards. And I honestly don't know that it does, because I don't think a stone card is considered a playing card. And I honestly don't know how to check that. I will be honest. Is a stone card a playing card? I don't really want... Oh boy. I don't know if I want to find out. We are adding stone cards every encounter though, so this could... If stone cards count, this could add up pretty quickly to our malt value, but I don't know. Is it worth risking it to find out? I mean, this is kind of what you have to do, I guess, across your runs. Also, this voucher is good. It adds another card slot to these 3 to choose from. So I'll go ahead and buy this. It will affect the shop right away. We get another Joker. This Joker gains +3 malt when any booster pack is skipped. That means you buy a pack and then you skip, regardless of its contents. Instead of choosing one, you hit the skip button. So you basically pay whatever the cost is of the booster pack to upgrade this. This is good if you have a constant supply of money. And also if you get it early, because me getting something like this with 0 malt and then adding 3 and 3 and 3, I'd have to use it 10 times for it to be as useful as this Joker. And have to use it 6 or 7 times to beat this fortune teller. I think I am going to be risky, even though we might blow the run. I'm going to get this Joker in hopes that adding stone cards counts. I'm nervous. Let's see. Next round. Upgrade full house by 3 levels. That could be useful. And reroll start at 0. That's okay. Let's see. Oh, it does count. Oh. All right, it's gonna take a few rounds for that to be useful, but that is incredible to see. Let's hope that we can still salvage the run though with what we currently have. So we have a pair here. We'll have another pair to play that will boost the card sharp, of course, on our second hand played. Let's play this. The glass card will add ×2 to our mult and then has a chance to break. It did not break, which is very good. We're already at about a third of our score, and we didn't even get the benefit from our card sharp here. We have another pair of aces here, so we'll go ahead and play the pair of aces. And I have yet another pair of sixes and a stone card that I forgot to play, but we didn't need it, so that's okay. We're getting 10 interest now because we're over 50 and we have that voucher that lets us go up to 50, but same rules apply. Every dollar for every $5 you already have, up to a total of $10 when you exceed 50. New Joker, all cards are considered face cards. This, on the surface, doesn't really mean anything, but there are certain card interactions in the game that rely on your cards being face cards that this will dramatically affect. I don't have any cards that care about if my cards are face cards or not, so this doesn't benefit me. Here we have our random mult Joker. Again, not very useful compared to our Jokers that consistently give more than 23, or even pretty close to it, although I did get rid of my tarot card Joker. And this one's kind of fun. If the first hand of a round has only one card, add a permanent copy to the deck and draw it to your hand. This could synergize actually with our hologram card, but I don't really have the resources to sub this in for a different Joker because I do like adding stone cards all the time, and card sharp would detect if we constantly just played one card as a high card, but I think I'd rather keep the solid green Joker and the banner up front. Standard pack allows us to add playing cards to our deck, and the tarot card pack allows us to use more tarot cards. I guess I'll use both of these. We haven't opened a standard pack yet, so I kind of want to show you what they look like. So here we go. We have modified cards. Here's a 5 of spades with the extra chip bonus on it, the bonus card arrows up and down, and also a red seal, which means that this card, when scored, will get scored twice. If there are Jokers that benefit from certain cards like this being scored, they'll benefit twice. We don't have any Jokers like that look for certain cards or anything. But if we had, say, Odd Todd that looks for cards that are odd and will add whatever it is, 30 chips or whatever to them, then this would get that bonus twice because of the red seal. This is just a bonus 9 of clubs, and this is just a normal 7 of clubs. Looking at my cards currently, I don't really have that many benefits on things, so these don't really synergize or anything. I guess I'll take the 5 just to show off the red seal, but it doesn't really matter. And we'll get the tarot card pack as well. Destroy up to 2 cards, create a random Joker if you have room, double your money, aka get 20 bucks. I will take 20 bucks. Thank you very much. Next round. Reroll start at $0. I'm not worried about that. Let's dive in. What have we got? I see a pair of 5s. Do I want to play pairs or just high cards? I think I want to just play high cards. So we'll play a 5 and the 2 stone cards just to get them out of our hand. So this got triggered twice, as you'll see, because of the red seal. And now we can play another high card and stone card. I'll elect to use the ace, I guess, just because it has bonus chips. And that absolutely annihilated our score with just 1 card. Okay, lovely. So you can see how much heavy lifting the Jokers themselves do, especially when you can combine ones that benefit one another. New Joker in the shop. First played face card gives ×2 mult when scored. I think this is every hand. The first time I read this, I thought it was like every round or something, but as long as you have a face card in your hand, it will add ×2 to your multiplier. It is worth noting that the sequencing of things is important, and this card's a little bit underwhelming because the ×2 mult comes when the card itself is scored, not when the other Jokers are applied. So for example, if I bought this Joker and put it at the end, like this one, it doesn't really matter that it's at the end, because instead of it, say, reading the king or whatever else I have, and then going through left to right and doing the Joker benefits, it does it right away. Which means that, say I played a high card, and it was just a king, then what would happen is the 10 from the king would get added to this. It would say 35 times 3. Then that Joker would say, oh, you played a king. and change this to 35 times 6, because it will double it. And then it will step through and add 34 and everything else. Whereas if this happened last, like these multipliers do, then what would happen is instead of my king being 35 times 3, it would be 35 times 3, and then we get to here and add 34. So 35 times 37. And then it would get to these cards and say 37 times 3 is, oh god, math, 111 or something. And then it would multiply that value times this. And if this joker was at the end, I would prefer that it then multiplies time that big number times 2, not just the 3 to a 6 or whatever I said. So while this applies every hand, it turns out that the benefit from it, even though it is a times 2, it can't be manipulated in a way that makes it very useful. This joker, when a blind is selected, create 2 common jokers. That's all this does, is a joker that makes new jokers. Could be useful, especially in runs where you're doing things that like destroy your jokers. You need to sell cards a bunch or something. It just constantly generates new jokers and keeps your run kind of fresh. But we don't need it. We'll buy the Hierophant because I've been buying almost all of the tarot cards we've been seeing. And we have another planet card pack that we haven't bought, so we'll buy this. Upgrade straight, full house, or four of a kind. We haven't used either of these yet, so I'll just choose full house because it's new. We haven't really needed to use a full house though, so it doesn't really benefit us. We'll get the new standard pack too. Why not? Normal ace, a holographic steel 3 of hearts, so it benefits both from the plus 10 mult value of a holographic card and also the 1.5 mult in your hand of a steel card. Of course, those benefits don't go together. You have to play the card to get the plus 10 mult, but you have to keep the card in your hand to get the times 1.5 mult. So those effects kind of conflict. And then we also have the Ace of Diamonds, which is a lucky card, and it adds a 20% chance to add 20 to your mult. And I don't know what 1 in 15 is, probably like 12, not 12, like 8% chance or less, 7.25% chance to win $20 when played. But this is an ace card. Ace cards are worth more, and having those 2 benefits potentially happen can be really useful if they trigger. So we'll take that. And of course, adding a new card benefits our hologram. How lovely. New boss, 1 in 7 cards get drawn face down, so you won't know what they are. This can be annoying. Hello. Yeah, interesting. I will say, it is interesting to see that the back of a stone card is the same as our deck. Of course it would be, but it just kind of looks funny that the front is only stone. But you'll see as we change our sorting that it's not actually affecting this card, and it falls between other stone cards, so this itself must be a stone card. Anyway, we have a steel 3 in our hand, which means that if we play any other card, this will add a 1.5 mult. So I'm going to go ahead and just play the modified 7 in all of our stone cards and see what that gets us. Oh, also, we can turn things into bonus cards. I have nothing against hearts this run. We've only deleted 2 diamonds. So I'm going to... Wait, can you use this on stone cards? Huh? I've never done this. Hold on, let's test something. Oh, that's weird. It turns them into normal deck cards. I never knew that's what that did. It converted the stone cards into real cards. Anyway, I don't care about that, even though that did kind of nuke the hand I was about to do. How strange. Anyway, let's just play a single high card with our stone cards. And our chip count is still massively outweighing our malt count. But that's okay. That'll change once we activate the card sharp. So I'll take my highest scoring card, an ace, and the stone card, and play that for another high card. If we look at our numbers here, they should be relatively even. Yeah, there we go. So we're still keeping things nice and even. We unlocked a new joker. Why? I'm not sure. I really don't know, but that's okay. Unlocking stuff is fun. New planet card, 2 pair. Buy it and use it? Sure. Celestial packs always contain the planet for your most played card hand or poker hand. We already saw this, but now we can finally get it. If we look at our run info, I think we already know our most played card hand is the hide card. So now every time we open a celestial pack like this, it will guarantee that we see the boost for a high card, which in our case, or in the case of the deck, happens to be the Pluto card. Let's go ahead and buy that because it was guaranteed to be in here. We can choose one of up to 4 Joker cards. We don't need to. We see the red Joker again that adds a flat mult to whenever we skip a booster pack. And then we have this Joker that says it gains plus 15 chips if played hand contains a straight. So this is something cumulative. If you play a lot of straights across your run and you get this early, this could add a whole bunch of chips to your hand. Not useful for us right now, so we will proceed. Oh, this is detrimental. All cards debuffed until 1 Joker is sold. I guess we can sell our Marble Joker when it comes time, but I don't know that I'd really want to do that. After defeating the boss blind, gain $25. You know what? We will finally skip one because I like money and re-roll the boss blind for free. Could be risky. We also could pay $10 and do it again. So I will re-roll this just because I don't want to sell my Joker in case we do an endless mode run. So I'll skip this. Very large blind. Oh no. I don't want this. Can I re-roll the boss? No, because I guess you can't re-roll for 10 on top of that. Oh no. All right, we're just gonna have to hope to score a bunch of points here. Might have just shot it in the foot, but we'll see. We have a bonus jack here and a stone card we'll play as our first high card. High card is a little bit boosted compared to before, which is good. But will it be good enough to get to 300? I don't know. Let's play another jack of spades, which I think will apply as our high card even if we play other cards. As long as we don't accidentally make a pair or something. I do want to try and get more cards in my hand, or different cards in my hand. Oh boy, 300 is going to be unreachable. Well, darn, I think we shot our run in the foot by re-rolling that last blind. I much rather would have just sold the Marble Joker, but I don't know. We can maybe save this if I discard a bunch. Because we have 3 diamonds here. If I can get 2 flushes in my next hands played, we could theoretically... Oh, I don't think we're going to save it. Hold on, there's hope. Here's a flush. And then if I could just play another flush to follow this, there's hope that with the multipliers and stuff that it will be worth a lot, but I don't think so. So we have a steel card here. I have to hope that in 2 discards I can get another club card. Oh, and we've done it. We do have another discard to use, but it will reduce our green Joker edition. So we'll just go ahead and play this, which is actually a royal flush, which is a straight and a flush, and it is between a 10 and an ace. Fun fact, there's an unlock you can get if you discard this, but because we're desperately trying to save a run, we're just gonna take the credit for the straight flush, which is actually stronger than both the straight and the flush and every other. This is the strongest hand we could ever hope to play. The bad news is, I think that this won't count as a duplicate for the card sharp, which is kind of what we need. So I think I have to... Oh golly, I don't know. I don't know if I should switch this just for a normal flush, because I've played a normal flush already. I haven't played a royal flush, which is considered a different kind of hand. Yeah, shoot. All right, let's run this and hope for the best. Cross your fingers. We need a 170,000 point hand. Oh, not even close. Oof. Oof. That is so sad. Oh, well. What a ride that was. I never should have re-rolled that last blind, I guess. but we easily could have, easily could have won that run. But yeah, that was our introduction to Balatro. This was a very long video, maybe the longest single recorded video I've ever made. Let's look at all of our unlocks. We unlocked a new deck. Discover at least 20 items from your collection. We discovered all kinds of stuff with all the different cards and packs we opened. So, free new deck. We get an extra hand instead of an extra discard every round, which would have been useful because we weren't using our discards. Beat a boss blind with a high card. We sure did, and that unlocked a new Joker. Retrigger the first played card in scoring twice. Well, that would have been useful for our high cards, but cool unlock. Reach ante-level 4. We reached 8 but lost. Joker, Tarot, Planet, and Spectral cards may appear multiple times. So this means that if you're holding on to Tarot cards so they won't show up in packs again, that won't work anymore. Also, you can see the same card in the same pack, which is a little bit annoying, but it allows you to get multiples of the same Joker, which can be really strong because you can get duplicates that, you know, synergize off of themselves. Enhance 16 cards in your deck. I suppose I did with all those stone cards we were getting. Those were technically enhancements. Times 3 malt if you have at least 16 enhanced cards in your full deck. Well, that would have been useful on the run we just had. In one hand, earn at least 10,000 chips. Unlocks this. Doubles all listed probabilities. Example 1 and 3 becomes 2 and 3. Haven't seen a lot of probabilities in the game, but nearly guaranteeing probabilities is never a bad thing. New deck unlocked. Discover at least 50 items from your collection. You get this gold deck. You start with an extra $10. No extra hands or discards. Reach ante-level 8. We sure did, but we didn't win. Unlocks this. Times 3 malt if poker hand contains a diamond, club, heart, and spade card. So this is good for straights, and this is good for things like 2 pair and full houses, things like that, where you can use cards of different, what are those called? Suits. Couldn't think of the word. And that's all the unlocks that we got. If we look at our collection, we can see all the different fun stuff that we had. And you can click on any menu and look at the details of all the stuff that you found. Of course, this is also how you would go through and clear all the badges, because I don't think that there's a button for clearing badges. This is also where you can see unlock conditions for other things. So play a 5-card hand that only contains gold cards, lose 5 runs, play 200 hands, etc., etc. You can unlock all kinds of stuff. And on my main file, I've unlocked almost everything. And we'll dive into that file in our next video. So if you happen to watch this whole video, I thank you so very much. I've never recorded a single sit-down playthrough run of something that was the length of a movie. But, you know, trying to explain everything I'm doing in a game as complicated on the surface as Balatro, you know, it's kind of lengthy. So I appreciate you so much for watching. If you enjoy content like this, please feel free to check out the other videos on my channel for other video games I play, or come on by my Twitch stream where we play games like Balatro and many others all the time. Also keep an eye out for the future videos, because I think I'm going to start another series of this that is a little bit straighter to the point and doesn't take 2 hours to record a video. But thank you for watching my unofficial introduction to Balatro. I appreciate you for watching, and until next time, I hope you take care. Bye now.